company that makes Google AdWords easier to manage, and because of the intense technical detail of the work that they do, Larry has a very in-depth knowledge of AdWords and pay-per-click, and today we're kind of expanding that whole discussion that one normally has about AdWords to social media much more broadly. And you know, social media has integrated into advertising and into pay-per-click and become an intrinsic part of how advertising works. And you know, if pay-per-click itself was the biggest revolution in advertising in 50 years, which I think it really was, then social media is a sea change in how advertising is actually done. And so I've been out to see Larry quite a few times at their offices in Boston, and we've worked together for a long time, and I am very excited to have Larry bringing his very insightful perspective to social media advertising. So welcome, Larry. I'm glad you're here today.
Thanks so much, Perry, for that introduction, and it's great to be here. So yes, this is me. I'll be talking about social media stuff, and before getting into all the details on how to kill it on social media ads like Facebook and Twitter, thought we could just open up a little poll here to kind of figure out who's on the call today. Noel, do you want to run the poll? And
right.
and Noel, do you want to maybe announce the poll, like, perhaps for?
Yeah. So hi guys, welcome to the webinar. Trying to learn a little bit about the marketing tactics you currently utilize. It looks like about 55% do organic, organic social, 46% do paid search, and 51% do paid social. So with that, I'll go ahead and close the poll and let you carry on, Larry.
Well, does that strike you as anything unusual in those numbers, Perry?
It was more paid social than I was going to have guessed, but it's a pretty interesting result.
Yeah, I thought the same thought as well. Okay, so yeah, we're going to be talking about paid social media on Facebook and Twitter, and you know, kind of a bummer because you know, you used to not have to pay for ads. You used to be able to get all this stuff for free using, you know, organic reach, which kind of doesn't really exist anymore. But the good news here is that you know, the big ad budgets aren't necessarily required. You know, I'm not suggesting you have to spend, you know, tens of thousands of dollars a month on Facebook. In fact, what we'll be talking about today is how to use micro budgets of like $50 or $100 to smartly use social media advertising budgets and campaigns to either kind of catalyze like new projects or to kind of get the ball rolling faster for one of your projects that are doing well. And so yeah, let's talk about that. But before getting into all the details, it might be worth spending a minute or two on kind of why we should care in the first place. You know, a couple obvious reasons. Duh, like people spend you know, something like an hour a day on Facebook, like 1 billion people logged into the platform like yesterday. So probably your target market is spending a lot of time there. Another problem has to do with like the lack of organic reach. All those people who signed, you know, liked your page and opted into your updates, the typical reach on average organically is less than half of 1%. That's kind of disappointing. Another reason, if you're doing content marketing, yeah, there's this notion of kind of like, I mean, Perry calls it like the 80-20 or what is it, 90-10 now or something. Like basically, a very small amount of your content does spectacularly well, and most of the rest goes nowhere. And this is definitely true in blogging, which a lot of companies do. You know, we did some research and we found that, you know, of the 1,600 articles that we've published in the last 6 years, something like 5% of them generate, almost more than half of all the activity. And so wouldn't that be cool if more than 5% of your stuff actually kind of made it big? Another challenge has to do with branding. So like if you're doing tons of search advertising or organic search optimization, definitely a great way to do direct response, but not necessarily a very memorable or inspiring way to build a brand. How do I know this? Because early on in WordStream's life, we were the rocking SEO company that nobody ever heard of because we were getting mad hits, but no branded searches. So that was a problem. Paid search. Can't say anything bad about paid search because I think everyone should be doing that. However, I will say that it's not cheap anymore. So it's just kind of cat's out of the bag, if you will. Like people have heard of this. There's millions of advertisers competing for valuable keywords, and sometimes in certain competitive niches, they could be very, very expensive clicks, and so that's kind of a bummer. Even if you're somehow managed to drive clicks to your website through Facebook or organic or through social media ads, the real challenge here is that the typical conversion rate for this stuff is less than 0.5% on average, and it kind of makes you wonder, like, what the heck are we doing here? Why are we doing all this internet marketing efforts if it feels like a suicide mission? We're no organic reach, the branding sucks, the CPCs are high, the conversion rates are low, so it does feel kind of like a bummer, but fear not. There is a way forward, and I'm suggesting that paid social media ads can ameliorate all of these problems. But Perry, just wanted to give you a chance to weigh in on anything. Is this your thoughts too, or anything to add?
Well, paid social media is roughly where pay-per-click was 10 years ago, which is most people haven't really gotten the memo that this isn't free anymore. And so there's still a lot of opportunity, right? So, you showed that last slide and it had all those big keywords that cost, megabucks. I don't think anybody 10 years ago would have thought that all these kind of keywords were going to cost 50 or 100 bucks a piece, but they do, right? Why? Because they're worth it, and right now, paid social media is really undervalued. So another parallel would be 10 years ago, in a lot of markets, you could spend anywhere from $10 to $100 on clicks, and even if you weren't really very organized about what you were doing, you would have at least learned a lot. You would have been able to test a few ads. You would have thought, well, these keywords here work better than these other ones, and you would start to have some idea. Well, you can do the same thing with paid social, and you can see how much traction something gets, and you can put it out there, and it doesn't cost a lot of money. You can actually get traction on Facebook ads on $5 a day for certain purposes and be very useful. If you're in certain small niches, you can have an awful lot of people in that niche see your ad. You can do really cheap branding, and after a while, like, yeah, I've seen that somewhere, right? So, what you're always in a certain state of evolution. There's always certain things that are kind of on the bleeding edge, and there are always certain things that are on the rise, and there are certain things that have already, reached a level of maturity. So, so point your attention where you should, and clearly paid social is a big traction place right now.
Yeah, it's kind of a thing here. All right, right. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about how content marketing works, because we're going to be fixing some of these challenges. And so my good friend and colleague Rand Fishkin, he has this kind of theory. He does these Whiteboard Fridays, and he did one recently called "The Greatest Misconception in Content Marketing." So a lot of companies, they think, kind of incorrectly, they think that the way the content marketing works is that you kind of blog something, creates an amazing piece of content, and then just by virtue of publishing it and sharing it on your social media, it'll go viral, and everyone will see this thing and they'll think it's so amazing, and they'll sign up for whatever the heck you're selling. And what Rand says is this is a total myth. This almost never happens. Instead, what really happens is you have to kind of repeat steps 1 and steps 2 over and over again. That's the notion of creating something new, some kind of content or piece of research, and sharing it over and over again until you get that 1% of content that actually sticks. And then step 2, like this, step 3, this notion that people will automatically convert to customers is a total myth. Instead, what happens is that visitors just get biased, that they kind of have a positive, happy thought about your company, and they may be kind of more predisposed to considering you later in the future when a need arises to purchase sort of your services or products. And so, that's kind of a bummer, because I would kind of prefer to believe the myth, this notion of like everything is an instant hit and that they automatically turn to customers and sales. But on the flip side, wouldn't it be cool if there was some magical way to sort of make step 2 work much, much better? That is the promotion of your content efforts, to make sure that it gets the attention that it deserves. And that step 3, the conversion from kind of awareness to sales, if that could happen with greater magnitude and frequency. And in fact, there is a way to do this. It is using the power of social media ads. And so this is what we're talking about today. See, there's 2 things that social media ads do fantastically well. The first thing that it does fantastically well is that it is the most highly scalable, cheap kind of mechanism for content promotion. It's like the world's largest megaphone. And so basically what you can do is you can very selectively promote pieces of content on social media and make it so that hundreds of thousands or even millions of people find this thing, and it can be exactly the right people, and so that's the first thing. The second thing that social media ads do fantastic well is this notion that it can then turn those website visitors into actual leads and customers. And we're going to be talking about some of the tactics in just a second, but at a high level, how this works is you can use the power of remarketing. So we're going to tag all those people that consumed your content. And then we're going to advertise to them. We're going to through the power of remarketing, but we're not going to remarket to everybody in that list. It could be hundreds of thousands or millions of people, and maybe only 2 or 3 or 4% of these people are kind of your target market, if you know what I mean. So what we're going to do is we're going to filter those cookie pools and only target, the perfect customers, with exact demographics that meet your target audience. And for those people, we're going to hit them up with hard offers like buy the thing or try it out today or schedule an in-house consultation or something. And we're going to hit them with hard offers. And when you get this working, in steady state, it's basically a money-making machine. And that's what we're talking about today. And so I didn't want to just make it all, strategic kind of fluffy stuff. I wanted to get into the weeds and kind of, give you kind of a summary of the 10 best social media advertising tactics that have worked very well for me over the last, I'd say, 12 months, and share that with you today. We're talking about Facebook and Twitter today. There's other social networks, obviously, Pinterest and Instagram and all this other stuff. But I think Facebook and Twitter are definitely 2 of the larger ones, and I'm more impressed by some of their advertising options. Unfortunately, we're not be talking about Google Plus today because that's okay. I don't think your customer target market was spending much time on there anyways. All right. All right, here we go. You ready for this, Barry?
Yeah. No
okay. Okay. Boom. Okay, number 10, quality score in Facebook and Twitter ads. So, Barry, we go back a little while. I'm a little bit obsessed with quality score. And so for people who don't know me or quality score that well, basically it's an algorithm. So when Google was invented, the AdWords was invented, they needed to come up with a way to figure out, which order to show the ads, because there's usually competing advertisers wanting the same keyword, which order to order the ads and how much to charge them. And the way that they figured this out was not just based on how much you're willing to pay, but also the performance of that ad, how relevant, the click-through rate of those ads. And then Google would reward advertisers with relevant ads that people clicked on. And so, 5 or 6 years ago, when Facebook came up with their ad platform, they were like, holy cow, this quality score thing for AdWords, that's pretty awesome. Let's just copy that. And they did. They did. They have a notion of a relevancy score in Facebook. Basically quality score, but they just changed the word quality to relevancy. And basically, it's a score from 1 to 10. 10 is sort of like means that people are, very, very enjoying this update. People are liking it, sharing it, commenting on it, clicking on the links, etc. And the one relevancy score of 1 is the opposite. It means it's terrible. And so basically, the higher the post engagement, the higher the relevancy score you will receive, and the higher the relevancy score, the greater number of impressions share, so the likelihood of your ad showing up will increase, as well as the cost per engagement will be substantially decreased. It's the same thing on Twitter. When Twitter came out with their ad platform, 3 or 4 years ago, they were like, holy cow, that relevancy score thing on Facebook, that's kind of a big deal. Looks like it's working well for them. So they came out with something called quality adjusted bid. And so basically what this means is they're going to bid up and down your actual bid. So if you're bidding like 50 cents, they will magnify that bid to like $3 or take it down to like 10 cents or whatever, based on whether or not the thing you're promoting is resonating with people or not. And so how they calculate quality adjusted bid, it's based on the resonance, relevance, and recency of the promoted tweet that you're looking to sponsor. And so what people don't understand, when they're coming up with their first social media campaigns, is the leverage in terms of this quality score. It's much higher leverage than anything we've ever seen in Google AdWords. Here you can see here. Maybe they'll promote something with like a 1% engagement rate. They'll be paying like $3 a click, and they'll be saying like, this won't work for me. $3 a click, I can't afford this. Well, of course this won't work for you. That's ridiculous. Why should you pay $3 per click? The problem is you're promoting junk, and what they don't realize is if you were to promote stuff with higher engagement rates like 7 or 21 or 37 or 68%. Engagement rates, then you would see your cost per click drop from $3 to 3 cents to 2 cents to 1 penny to even like half a penny. And so we did some research here, kind of in a nutshell. Every 1% increase or decrease in post engagement of the thing you're looking to sponsor, that will typically result in a plus or minus reduction or increase in terms of the cost per engagement of 5%. And it's not just about the cost per click. This is definitely important, but it's also the impression share. So it's like whether or not your ads will show up in the first place. Because if ads aren't showing up, it's like you're not even running any campaigns in the first place, right? So this is a typical Twitter campaign. Notice how it was born on June 16th, and then every day this campaign ages, the fewer and fewer ad impressions it receives, despite the fact that I have made no changes to the bid or the ad targeting. And so what's happening is the quality score algorithm is doing its work. It's saying this is no longer new. Why should I promote this ad rather than a fresh ad from someone else that's only been born 3 hours ago or something like that? And so the kind of the strategy here in terms of social media advertising, definitely you need to maximize engagement rates and quality scores. Posts with high engagement rates will get those high quality scores, and if you do this, life will be great. You'll have high impression share, meaning your ads will show, and you will pay very, very little for those clicks. The opposite is also true. If you are promoting junk, then your ads will rarely show up, and if by some miracle it does show up and someone clicks on it, you will be charged an arm and a leg. This movie, The Dark Knight, this is that character. I think this was actually filmed in your neck of the woods there, Perry. This is that character, Two-Face, Harvey Dent, before he became the Two-Face. And he had a funny saying. He said something like, you either win the day or live long enough to be the villain or something like this. And that's the same thing in social media ads. Either your campaigns win the day or they live long enough to become complete stinkers. So what do we do about this? Basically, the key strategy that I'm advocating here is that you need to kind of you should be auditioning your content more often, and only paying to promote sort of your best posts. And I call these unicorns because they're such rare and beautiful creatures. Basically the worst thing you can do, Perry, I think, is to promote junk. So the worst thing you can do here is say something like, I've got a budget of $1,000. There's 10 posts on my Facebook. I'm going to equally divide the $1,000 across the 10 posts. No. That's not how you do it. You go all in on the one or two that did the best. You see what I'm saying? The second worst thing the second worst thing you could ever do is it's where you promote stuff that didn't do well organically. So, you're posting something, and you're like, it's been a while since we've had like a winner. Why don't we try putting some money behind some of the losers of last month? And that'll never work, because if it didn't do well last month, what makes you think it'll do any better this month? You know what I mean? So basically, what we need is a way to find these unicorns. Like, how do we find them? And basically, Facebook, Twitter, they both have analytics and Facebook Insights. And all you do is you go in, export the data, sort by the column of engagement that you care about, whether it's like the click-through rate or the retweet rate or the comment rate or the like ratio or whatever. Just sort the data and find the top 1 or 2 or 3%. Those are your unicorns. And that's what you should be paying to promote. I just want to tell you a little story, a little example of an actual unicorn birth. So this was about a year ago, 9 months ago. I tweeted a little funny, jokey little tweet. It was like goodbye, comma, Google Plus. Okay, and I even went into Photoshop and made a funny tombstone with a etched Google Plus in there, right away it got like, I don't know, like 50 or 100 retweets, and I'm like, oh my god, like this is one of these unicorns. And then in fact, Perry, you had one of these the other day when you talked about the Robin Williams and got like a million likes, but basically. Yeah, but basically,
I got a million likes, and I put a little bit of money behind that, and it's just like, I mean, wow. Like, yeah, I got 1 million likes on a Robin Williams story. I mean, that's like 100 times more than I ever got from anything.
Right. So that's what I'm saying here. Like, don't promote everything. You just, like, when you see signs of kind of something is happening here. Like, people are jumping on this story. It's going out of control. This one here, basically I spent $250, so a little bit more than you spent, Perry. But basically, for that $250, I received 1,500 retweets on this thing, 100,000 visitors to the site, and that's
wow.
not a bad return on investment, considering that the cost of me blogging something is probably more than $250, and if you take consideration my time, And then you say, like, okay, well, what's it worth to have 100,000 people read the thing that you just blogged? Probably worth more than $250. So
especially if you cookie them and all that stuff, right?
Yeah. We're getting to that in just a second. Right now, we're focusing on kind of driving mad hits to your site, and then in just a second we'll talk about how to convert those mad hits into sales. But basically, this is the key to life. It's my Larry's organic and paid social networking posting pyramid scheme, and don't worry, Perry, this pyramid scheme is totally legitimate and will not get you in jail. Basically, this idea is we're going to addition a lot of stuff on, like, some organic channel. It could be Twitter, it could be email marketing, whatever. But the point is, you have to try out a lot of different types of contents and a lot of different offers, and then it's kind of like the Hunger Games, where you have like those tributes battling each other out, and only one victor survives. You take you take the victor, and then that piece of content or that offer is the one that gets promoted on like Facebook or Twitter, and then this is kind of a repeatable process. Perry, people ask me, actually, I work with a lot of people who are new to paid social, and they often come from an organic social media background, and there's one huge difference between paid social media ads versus organic social media ads. You know what that is, Perry? Can you take a guess?
I don't know where you're going with this, actually.
It's basically you got to be picky. Okay, so in
Oh,
organic, they're trying to cast a wide net and then get as much engagement as you can. This is
yes.
absolutely not the right game to be playing in paid because you have to pay for this stuff. In paid social, you want to cast as narrow a net as possible and then maximize sort of the engagement rates within that net that you're casting in order to maximize the impression share and then minimize the cost per engagement. So that's kind of my first one. We're talking about quality score. That's definitely the most profound one. But I wanted to give you an opportunity to comment any agreement or disagreement here, Perry.
Well, I just wanted to add a little nuance, which is that um, you can you have to decide what you're optimizing for. You can optimize for just page post engagements like on Facebook, or you can optimize for people reading past a certain place on your blog, or you could optimize for somebody filling out a form or doing something like that. And I think how much latitude you have on that really depends on um, like how much branding you think you can afford to spend money on as opposed to direct response. In fact, I'm working on a newsletter right now where I'm talking about branding as a strategy that small marketers do, where 10 or 20 years ago you couldn't have a sane conversation about branding because there were so many limited channels, radio, TV, whatever. But now you so it was what Larry was saying about 10 minutes ago about how people need to form a positive impression about you, and then they're positively disposed to do business with you. I think this is a really important thing that's going on, and I think direct response marketers can overlook it. So, yeah, I could say more, but I don't want to get you off track here.
Yeah, just to answer your theme here, I mean, WordStream, we spend, something like a million or 2 million, or I don't even know, like on advertising, and we're for Facebook and Twitter, we're splitting it like 80-20 along the lines of 80% is kind of direct response. We're actually trying to drive actual outcomes like sales and leads, and 20% of it is just kind of
Hmm.
silly top of the funnel stuff, branding, just trying to get
Yeah.
maximum awareness. I don't know if that's the right ratio, but that is the current ratio that we are employing. I wanted to talk a little bit about a couple hacks. So if you're with me, Perry, that it's important to get those engagement rates up so that you're paying less, or actually substantially less, and getting substantially more for that less. Then it might make sense to talk a little bit about how to get those high engagement rates, like of 20 or 30%, as opposed to 2 or 3%. And so here's kind of this notion of keyword targeting on Twitter. So on the left here, I'm a blogger for Inc. magazine, and I tweeted something that it wasn't great. It got like a 2 or 3% engagement rate. It was talking about the new Google CEO, and basically I was able to turn that kind of decent, kind of average tweet into a unicorn tweet. How? By nailing the targeting. So instead of just tweeting it out to all of my followers, I targeted the universe of people who had recently used the hashtag alphabet in their tweets in the last 7 days. And so by doing so, you can see the tweet engagement rate went up to 27.6%. And so for a spend of $49.93, I'm generating something like 2,183 clicks, 348 retweets, 18 followers, 32,500 impressions. So not a bad investment. And so, by the way, Perry, when I said like we're going to be spending micro budgets of $50, I really meant it. Like I really do. It's not just a gimmick. I really set the budget to be $50.
Hmm.
And so, I think why $50? I think it's like $50. It forces you to be intentional about the targeting. You know what I mean? You kind of have to nail that targeting, and then this forces you to think hard about that. It's not
I
just
think
about.
for our audience of people listening, there are a lot of people who $10 to $50 is a right size of a small marketing project to test these things out. More common than one might even assume.
And I'm saying you can get thousands of clicks for this $50 to spend. It's highly leveraged. It's not just about getting clicks. Here's another. I'm kind of a jokey on Twitter. Here's one I tweeted the other day. It's like, do you remember this FIFA gate? Eyewitness report: FIFA officials dove to the ground and pretended to be injured. So that was just a kind of a jokey thing, but I promoted it to these hashtags just for shits and giggles, and basically. It showed up in a bunch of roundups, so I got a lot of press pickups for this thing. So like on the best 14 tweets for FIFA Gate. So like it's not just about driving clicks, but also valuable PR exposure. Now in this case, it's kind of a dumb example because my business has nothing to do with sporting goods. But if you were a sporting goods company, you should totally do this. So I'm saying like you can do this in any industry basically. And here's another example. This is the most boring update in the world. It's like some dumb event that's like only very specific to a narrow geographic location. Join me for this event. And look at that. It's like 0.4% engagement rate. Like, what do you do here? Well, if you nail the targeting, like certain interests, certain hashtags, certain locations, you can dramatically increase that the engagement rate from 0.4% to 1.7%. Now, that's not a unicorn by any stretch of the imagination, but it's still like 4 or 5 times better than before. So you'll kind of make it from being ridiculously impossible to run an ad to being like plausible but still challenging. So moving along here, it's great to have all these mad hits to your site, as I was saying, but it would be even better if like those people were likely to buy your stuff after they click through your site. And so the way you can do this is like leveraging this notion of in-market segments, rather than just tracking hits, which, as we all know, is an acronym for how idiots track success. What I mean by this is both Facebook and Twitter, they have, this is called behavioral targeting. So this is based on offline world behavior, stuff that you're doing in the real world, as opposed to stuff that you're sharing on Facebook. So it can tell whether or not you've purchased, say, diapers or jewelry or whatever. There's 2,500 of these categories. Here's one that I use personally. It's people who've purchased business software on their credit cards recently, and because that's what we do, Perry. We sell business software, business marketing software, and so if you've bought like a HubSpot or a Marketo or something like this recently, then chances are you might also be interested in WordStream things. And so the reason why that matters is because people who have actually done something using money is a stronger, more discriminating signal than someone just declaring an interest. It's the same thing on Twitter. If you're selling coffee machines, target people who've recently purchased coffee. So basically. There's tons of these behaviorals targeting, and it just makes a big difference in terms of the likelihood of people buying your stuff after they click through your site. You can even further increase this kind of propensity to buy your stuff by layering on top of this demographic targeting. And so demographic targeting is simply, there's a couple hundred of these categories. Life events, behaviors, life events, job titles, employers, this type of thing. And so if you happen to know, I don't know if you're a jeweler, for example, your target market are people who are recently engaged, because there's going to be a kind of a wedding bands and other purchases in their near future, or people who are wealthy, with significant milestone anniversaries. And so if you have a good handle over who your target market is and isn't, you should be layering on top of that a demographic targeting. And of course, you can do the same thing in Twitter. You'd be surprised at how granular they can get. It's like, here's just a couple of them. It's like household size, generation, length of residency at current place, net worth, et cetera, et cetera. So moving on here, we're talking about social media remarketing. Of course, this is one of the most powerful ways of doing ad targeting in social ad platforms. And so basically, it's very simple. You just install that pixel and It's called a tailored audience in Twitter and a custom audience in Facebook, and you can target people who visited your site. The power of social remarketing is just it's very profound. Basically, if you're marketing to someone who's familiar with your brand, someone who's previously consumed some favorable content of yours, what you'll find is that they are 3 times more likely to engage with your content in the future, and they are 2 times more likely to convert to a sale or a lead should they engage with you in the future. And so what do you do with the power of social remarketing? I think what you should be doing here is pushing hard offers, not just like informational content, but like white papers and stuff, but actual like downloads or signups or sales. Buy the damn thing, because these are the people who are most likely to buy. And so Perry, what's more powerful than remarketing? It's this new thing called super remarketing. I'm not sure if you've ever heard of super remarketing. It's actually not even a real thing. I just invented it. But basically, super remarketing it's kind of combining the previous 4 hacks. So we're saying, okay, we're going to do remarketing, but we're not going to remarket to everyone. We're going to remarket first. The content that we remarket is going to be high engagement content, and then we're going to layer in that behavioral demographic kind of targeting, so that basically what you're targeting is people who not only have declared interest in your stuff, they're actually spending money on related stuff. They've actually checked you out, and they've kind of checked the box on sort of the criteria of people who can afford to buy your stuff. And by targeting a very narrow audience that meets all 3 criteria, this is basically printing money, and this is where the leverage of social media advertising is, because you don't have to necessarily, it's not like organic social media where you're trying to cast that wide net. Remember, the game here is to be picky. So if you can find 1,000 of these people and spend $10 on that, this is a pretty good deal. So it's hard to believe this could get any better, but it actually does. So there's this notion of custom audiences. I'm sure people have heard of this, but it's very, very profound because in terms of the history of advertising, Perry, we've never really been able to target people. We've always been able to target, certain behaviors, like people searching on keywords or people visiting certain pages on your websites. But you have no idea if it's me or Perry or who is actually, behind the keyboard visiting or behind the smartphone visiting those pages and searching on those keywords. And so the cool thing about this is it's the biggest evolution of advertising in 15 years. We can target people by emails, phone numbers, Facebook and Twitter logins, and so you just upload a list of phone numbers or emails or IDs into your social platforms. And now social media advertising becomes a lot more like email marketing, except it's tremendously better than email marketing. In email marketing, it's like, first of all, email marketing isn't what it used to be. I mean, there's all sorts of like dungeons that your emails will get stuck into, like the promotions tab on Gmail, or there's all sorts of tools that kind of filter out, opt-in mail these days. And once you get into those dungeons, it's really, really hard to get out of them. There's all this notions of like lawsuits and stuff if you don't, honor all this unsubscription stuff, and every time you blast a list, you're going to generate 0.5% of unsubscribes, et cetera, et cetera. So there's a lot of trouble with email marketing, but they're all fixed with people-based marketing. Basically, you don't have to even worry. You don't even have to worry about people opting into these lists, because people won't even know how you got their email. So I think that's pretty interesting. I wanted to give you an example of how I personally use custom audiences, just to give you kind of some flavor for how this is such a game changer. This is a true story. I blogged this dumb blog on my blog the other day about Google and Gmail kind of breaking up, if you will. It was kind of a big deal because they were trying to force Google Plus earlier, but then they decided, you know what? Let's just break them apart. And so, the problem was I blogged about this on a Friday afternoon. It was kind of a slow news day. And so, you know what I did? I just shared this on social media and paid to promote. And basically, what I did here was I didn't promote to everybody. I promoted just to a very specific list of influential people on Facebook and on Twitter that I call influencers. So people who write for the New York Times or Wall Street Journal or TechCrunch or whatever. And so only a very small list of 1,600 people. And then, within 2 hours, the story then shows up on Google Plus, on Marketing Land, and you can see here that highlighted thing. It says like this change brought to our attention by Larry of the WordStream blog. Like that's a big deal. That's like an SEO link, like a blue thing from a kind of a high value editorial site. So I'm really excited. I'm doing my link building dance here, like yahoo! I'm really excited. But what's so cool? Like there's so much power here. Like I had 1,600 people in this list. So by Saturday, the story was like in VentureBeat and Gizmodo and Register, and by Monday, it's in Lifehacker and Fast Company, Business Insider, Washington Post, Wall Street Journal, and 500 other stories, 500 other journal places, and this is a true story. You can just Google this, and you'll see all the press pickups. So basically, what I'm trying to tell you here, using the power of custom audiences, and having spent a week curating a custom audience of very, very specific people, I was able to generate over 500 high-value press pickups, links, massive brand exposures, over 100,000 site visitors for a total cost of $50 and 10 minutes. And so that's what I'm talking about, the leverage, insane leverage of social media ads, and how this is like taking over stuff that you used to do in email marketing. And if you are using a PR agency, you should seriously consider doing this instead. You'll save a lot of money and it'll work a lot better. Sorry, Perry, I cut you off.
Was that a custom crafted PR list for Twitter, or how did you put that together?
I just hired an intern for like $10 an hour and had him like search for Google News for certain topics and take a list of all the people who showed up. And the cool thing about this is like it's very easy to find people's Twitter IDs.
Yes.
Right? Because they're journalists, so they're out in the public. So it's not rocket science. You don't have to do any guesswork. You can just search on Twitter, what's this guy's Twitter name, and it'll tell you.
That's good. That's really good.
So we're almost down to, what the heck is this? Number 3, I wanted to talk a little bit about some of the new insanely powerful ad formats on social media advertising, and basically this funnel that we've been obsessing for 15 years is kind of a ridiculous concept at this point because, it's based on desktop and you can basically bypass this funnel entirely, how using, instead of sending people to some landing page that has a 2% conversion rate, just have them call you directly from the social media page and get a 100% conversion rate. So basically it's quite a game changer in terms of your mobile conversion funnel because the leakiest section of your funnel has been eliminated. And so what we're finding is these calls are worth a lot more to businesses than clicks to websites. Why is this a big deal? Because something like 500 million users of Facebook are exclusively using the platform on mobile, and it's something like 80% on Twitter. Anyways, these ad formats are kind of turning pay-per-click marketing into more like pay-per-lead marketing, where you're actually collecting valuable inquiries and paying for those. Another very interesting thing is this notion of the social direct response ad format. So this would be for lead generators, rather than having people to fill out a form with their name and email and all this stuff. You just hit the submit button, and that'll automatically send all that information because you're logged into Facebook. Facebook already knows your name and email, and it's just even more valuable because like there won't be any errors with what was submitted, no fake data, the actual user's data, and so that's kind of interesting, and you can do that on Twitter as well. It's called a lead generation card format. So we're talking about funnel elimination using these crazy new social ad formats that are very, very leveraged. Lastly, we're coming to the end here. It comes to talking about the flywheel effect or the snowball effect of social media marketing, and just a simple observation that the more you do social media ads, the better it gets. This is just like a graph of my followers. It took me something like 7 years to get to 14,000 followers, but only 12 months to go from 14,000 to like 120,000 followers. The reason is because the more you do it, it kind of snowballs like blogging. You pick up you pick up fans and followers as you go, and so the next campaign should be in theory better than the previous campaign, even if it was the same campaign. That's kind of an interesting form of leverage. Another interesting form of leverage has to do with this notion of free clicks. Now, I know what you're thinking, like, how do you get free clicks from paid social media ads? That's kind of interesting. Basically, what you need to know is that you're only paying for first order activities. So like on Twitter or Facebook, like if Perry likes or if Perry retweets my tweet and I was running an engagement campaign, then I would have to pay for that, okay? But then if any of Perry's friends or followers kind of retweeted or replied or clicked on those links as a result of seeing Perry's retweet of my original promoted tweet, I don't have to pay for that. So that's free. So this is this notion of kind of buy one, retweet, get three free. And that's kind of not a bad deal. So this is typically what it looks like. I'm just showing you kind of an analytics view. The blue is the organic impressions, and the yellow are the paid promoted impressions. And so you can see when I paid $50 to promote this thing, it generated a huge spike of paid impressions, but also a huge spike of organic impressions because there was this kind of free stuff that I was getting. So that's an important thing that people don't always understand, and it's really quite powerful. I mean, this is kind of a ridiculous example, but I tweeted this thing and promoted it for $225 just to see if it was possible, and I got the cost per engagement down to $0.00. The reason why it was so low was because it was generating so many so much retweets that the cost per engagement was something like 1/20th of a penny, and this is just a stupid experiment. But that's the power of buy one get 5 free or something like that. So this is the kind of the top 10 hacks that we're talking about today. I'm not going to read them all. You can check this out in your own time. I did want to summarize the very important key takeaway, which is this slide here. That is that paid social ads do two things fantastically well. The first thing that it does is it lets you kind of scale and amplify your brand in a way that was not previously possible to do for this cheap, okay? The second thing that paid social ads let you do is using the power of super remarketing. It can then allow you to turn those those clicks into actual sales and leads for your customer, for your business, and that's kind of the key takeaway. I did wanted to just talk a little bit about an offering here, and then we can get to questions and comments. So WordStream, surprise, surprise, has launched a social ads software platform. It's a tremendously easy platform for doing, remarketing, super remarketing, and in a very easy simple time-saving way, and will help you find your audience and maximize budgets. And that's something that I would hope you have an opportunity to try out. Noelle, do you want to do the launch poll here?
Yeah, so we wanted to check in to see if anyone on the line would be interested in seeing either WordStream's 20-minute work week for PPC or for paid social. If you're interested in both, we'll go ahead and set you up with a presentation on both. So great, so I'll leave that up. And anyone, if you have questions, feel free to send them into the line. We'll get started with questions here in just a second. Thanks so much, Larry.
So Perry, we went through a lot of stuff here. Your thoughts?
Well, I was messaging Noelle and asking her, so we're recording this, right? And she's like, yes, we are. I mean, Larry, this is really good. It's one thing to do kind of subjective, how many likes did I get social media? It's a whole nother thing to have real analytics like you're showing here. I mean, this is really great. There was Ben Gorelick, one of our Mastermind Club members, posted a question maybe a week ago in our Mastermind forum, and he was saying, well, so everybody's moving to mobile, and email is less of a focus for a lot of people, and so is it like the end of the web as we know it? And it generated some great conversation, and I'm actually writing a response to that right now in the newsletter that's going to go out soon. But this is a big part of the answer here. In fact, I wrote down a note, goal, sales funnel completely independent of desktop and email. Now that's a pretty interesting thought, isn't it? But it's possible.
Yes, this is a relatively new innovation. It's also available on Google AdWords through that customer match. So being able to target YouTube and Gmail and search ads based on emails. But yeah, I think the future is less about kind of proxies for interest, as like you visited a site or you searched on a keyword, and more about people, like more about actual identity targeting, and that's kind of what email had going for it all along, and that power of targeting individual people. Obviously you would want to do that because certainty of who you're messaging to can lead a lot of leverage. Like your best customers typically come from your existing customers, so that could open up quite a few opportunities.
Yeah, that's great. This has been really rich.
Any other thoughts or comments, or Noel, should we open this up to our attendees?
Sure. Perry, if you don't have any other comments, I'll go ahead.
Yeah, go for it. Let's
Great.
pick up audience questions.
Yeah. So Larry, one of our audience members would like to know how much of your day is spent reading, writing, and posting. It seems like that's most of what you do. Do you spend a lot of time there? What do you focus in on? What's the key highlights for you?
So it's about 2 hours of reading and writing stuff per day. Now, keep in mind, like I have these systems in place for identifying top stuff. So like I don't have to read any blog. Like I have like tools in place to help me figure out what the best stuff is, the most interesting stuff. So like BuzzSumo or Nuzzle, those will help me figure out what they're the best topics trending on the web, like based on social shares, and then Nuzzle will kind of tell me what's trending in my network. So it's definitely it's 2 hours, but it is incredibly leveraged. And the stuff that I'm sharing on social media, it's like it's not necessarily it's not random. I'm specifically picking things that I have reason to believe, will generate high engagement because, I have some other source for auditioning it. So generally, it's just like it's a pretty mechanical, repeatable process that I spend an hour or two reading and writing stuff. The same thing with the writing. You're better off writing a lot less stuff that does well rather than writing lots and lots of stuff. And so, like if I see like a tweet, generated 300 retweets or 1,000 retweets, well then like yes, I'm going to have to write that up as a next column or something. So it kind of there's kind of this nice leverage of like by doing one, you're making the other one better, and vice versa. But definitely a lot of leverage there.
Makes a lot of sense, Larry. So one of our users wants to know, one of the most frustrating things they say on Facebook is it's hard to show ads evenly. So how do you make split testing on paid social easier if you're trying to test out some different topics or trends?
Well, I mean, I can take this one, or Perry, do you want to speak to this? Up to you.
Well, my knee jerk is that the concept of split testing is replaced with the concept of small testing and expanding it big, and so you tend to now Larry may have a completely different opinion, but I think in social media you tend to think less in terms of A versus B and more in terms of which unique event got more measurable traction and which of whatever I have in my basket right now has proven itself the most. Larry, how would you?
Yeah, there's 2 points of leverage in terms of your testing. I will go out on a limb here and say the what you can test in social ads is probably 5 to 10 times more dramatic than what you can test on PPC. So in PPC, it's like you can change your keyword targeting and then a little bit of the characters on your text ad. But here in social media ads, the targeting is incredibly variable. Like you can do everything from remarketing to lists to interests to behaviors to demographics, right? So like nailing the targeting would be one form of testing, and the other form of testing is the creative, and that could be like a video, that could be like a funny jokey meme, like so there's quite a lot of leverage in terms of trying out different things, perhaps more leverage than you might see, like more variance that you might see in the typical PPC search ad tests. And so typically what I'll do, like to test the creative, I might come up with like 6 jokey images to include while fixing the targeting. So one ad group, so one ad set with the targeting is locked in. You can't change the targeting from ad to ad within the same ad set. So fixing the targeting, coming up with 6 or 10 different ads, with ridiculously different images, and trying those. And then the other test you would do is trying out the ad targeting, like with the victor of the ad test. You then put that over to the targeting, and now you're like, okay, well, who am I targeting? Is it like this interest or that interest, or these people or this behavior? And so it's kind of it's actually a lot of work, but that's kind of how I think of things. And Perry is definitely correct in terms of like just identifying the unicorns among the stuff that you've tried in the past. So.
And you need to, like Larry said, you need to broaden your very idea of what A versus B is, because like a lot of people, they're like, well, which verb is better? And that's just thinking too narrowly. Like you like, it's like which video is better, which completely different, radically different emotional hook is better.
Right. So the biggest leverage is the ad format, so video versus image, or just the type of image being used. Like, is it kind of a jokey, interesting, shocking image, or is it one of these stock images? I've also had kind of some returns on using emojis, if you can believe that, like those dumb kind of pizza characters. Those seem to be all the rage these days. So give that a try.
Great, thanks guys. One last question from the audience. I know we're getting close to the top of the hour. Larry, we've actually talked about this a lot internally, but what is the lifetime value of a unicorn post? Like, how much do we need to retweet or repost that unicorn, or is there a shelf life associated with that unicorn post from your experience?
You have to go all in on your unicorns. What does that mean? Well, let's see. If it's a time-sensitive thing, like it would be very silly for me to be posting a Google Plus is dead post from a year ago, because it's kind of, people know that now. So it's no longer news. So the thing that made that interesting is no longer the case. But if you have these evergreen unicorns, I call them super unicorns, because they're like, not only are the unicorns, but they're like lasting, long-lasting unicorns that just live forever. Then those, you should just keep promoting them in an evergreen state. There's actually 12 super unicorns that we've identified for WordStream, like certain infographics, like how much does Google make money, like how the most expensive keywords on Google, how does Google AdWords work, how to get certified on AdWords. Like there's different unicorns that we run steady state promotions for, because they just do so fantastically well, and they beat out any new thing that comes along. So yeah, that takes up, I would say, 70 or 80% of the content promotion budget. It's these, but you still want to have new things, because like if you're going to have the problem of audience saturation. Like people, if you rack up like 100 million views of these offers or these pieces of content, they're going to get sick of it, and you're going to have audience fatigue, and so So you do have to have this kind of balance of like, well, now I guess it's time to move on and, get a new greatest hit. But those are some of the thoughts that I'm thinking about when deciding on how long to promote these things. But generally, it's like quite a bit more than you might think.
Great, guys. Well, I'm going to go ahead and end the questions. If you have any more questions for Larry, feel free to tweet at Larry Kim on Twitter. He'll be sure to get right back to you. And I definitely want to take a moment and thank, first of all, Perry Marshall for joining us and hosting us today and just being so awesome. We really stand by you and your values. And Larry, great job today. I think that this has been a really awesome presentation, and I just thank everybody for joining us as well.
Thanks, Perry.
Larry, really great content today. I loved it. I always learn stuff when I listen to your webinars, and this was like double. So congratulations. Good work. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Have a good day.